Hello, welcome back. I'm so excited. Welcome back to another Broken Arrow press match. This was the beginning of night 3 of the press matches. My favorite night. I had the most fun in these matches. I felt like I did the best in these matches. I've been saying that for a while. Though I will consider that just like once I reviewed them, a lot of the matches where I thought I did terribly in the previous ones, I still did bad, but didn't do that nightmarishly bad. Probably as we get back into these matches and I actually review them, I'll be like, I did good, but I didn't do amazing or anything. So we'll see. The point is, I had so much fun with these matches. These are my most fun matches by far. So to set the scene again, this is coming in off of my most crushing defeat in the previous night, where I got absolutely bodied. I was terribly, terribly defeated, and felt very bad about myself. My friend Yeet Machine gave me some really good advice when I went and talked to him about changing my decks up a bit, or, even keeping them the same in some cases. And my wife gave me so much support in being like, you're going to do great. You had a bad match. Get your mental state right. Eat, drink water. Feeding and watering me like a plant. Get me ready for this, and I was good to go. Also, going into these matches, I made a change because I felt like I wasn't playing very well in these matches. Now I was still very rusty in the previous nights. So I actually made a deck that I thought I couldn't fuck up. I made a deck called here Baby's First Deck. And essentially, I tried a new strategy with this deck just to get myself back into the game. It wasn't what I think is like the most ideal way to build a deck, but it was made to be like a Duplo blocks deck, like a deck that a toddler could play, where essentially I'm just bringing really, really powerful, expensive units, I think was the idea, and not many different types of units. And the idea was to just bring in more powerful but less, so that I could focus on each individual unit more, and each individual unit was more strong. So I knew that I wouldn't be getting the cost effectiveness I always wanted out of everything. But the idea was, just focusing on less is more. And that's why this match and this deck, I had the Javelin Weapon Squad back in, for instance. That's like the 120 cost Airborne Squad that has 2 Javelin launchers in it. That kind of thing, right? I brought those units again, rather than going for, say, 2 65-point toe teams. That said, I didn't really end up using those units that much. And in the end, I just ended up playing here a more normal style of infantry I was kind of used to, I think. But say no more about it. Let's get straight back into it, okay? Let me hit on pause. We're here on Airport. Also helps, this is a map I know well. Played a lot of Airport back in the old beta. The layout is the same, so I'm on home team advantage for a change here, right? Like, I actually know the map and I'm ready to go. One thing I'll say going into this match too, you won't be able to hear it unless you go and watch in the description, the live streamed VOD, which is still there. But I had also prepared something else. So I prepared a bunch of stuff. I'd obviously tweaked my decks, like I said. I'd also prepared some like force composition planning, where it's like, rather than just sending dribs and drabs, I've got here's a force, like here's a force of, like, rather than sending one Bradley, it's like, this is a tank hunter force, this is Force Kilo, and it's got 1 Abrams and 2 Bradleys and 1 Shorad, da-da-da-da. Doesn't matter the specifics, the point is, I had kind of like organized in that sense, and thought about that. So I prepared, and I'd also prepared myself of this thing. So I have one of those streamer decks next to me, which is like a bunch of little buttons you press, and you can assign a sound to each of them, or an action. And I had one important sound that I spammed throughout this whole night of matches. Basically, it was this little guy going, "Artillery time!" And I would press the button, 2 minutes later, the guy would say, "Artillery time!" And I fucking loved it. It worked, and it did exactly what I wanted it to do, which is it got me trained into the habit of not forgetting my artillery, which is something I kept doing up until this point. And I stopped doing it here, because I literally had a guy shout at me every 2 minutes, "Artillery time!" And I would do my artillery. And it got me into the habit. And by the end of these nights of matches, in just one night, I didn't even need the reminder as much anymore, because it had just got me into the habit. Very, very useful. I actually can't give it enough props. It really did work out for me and made me play better, so I liked it. Rolling out a Scout Humvee up ahead, and a truck with a specific combo of infantry and supplies there, I think. We're taking the E point here. This is where I'm going. This point is maybe not the best for the Airborne, because the Airborne is a bit of a longer range squad. This is more of a Marines point, honestly. But I still wanted to go here. I still liked the point. I still knew from playing Airport that this was the place I was going to enjoy the most, because I never really went to the left on Airport much, and I considered that more of a tank. When I did, it was more of a tank area for me. But I played over the E point quite a few times before, and I kind of know how that fight goes. You know, I kind of know the way that fight goes, which is you get into the bunkers, you have this like CQB fight. And then you need to control reinforcement avenues in the woods on either side of the E point. So you need to get a good reinforcement and supply point staging ground in your trees behind the E point. And you need to have the enemy, you need to pressure their ability to get at you through those woods as well, if you can. I'm rolling out not just with Humvees here, but I've got snipers inside the Humvees. The Humvees are just transport. And I'm trying to get some recon spotters up ahead of the point early in an advantageous position. And again, this just comes from pre-planning. This comes from me going, when I roll out, I'll make sure that this force has... Take that, Hind. Like, this is actually a force I prepared on a piece of paper. I'll try to find the picture, and if I remembered it in the edit, I'll put it on screen right now so you can see what I'm talking about. Hopefully I remembered when it's here. Because it's like... It's very helpful to me to go like, no, you're not just going to pick a bunch of stuff and spend the first 50 seconds going like, oh, what do I get? What have I forgotten? But to actually go, no, a rollout force for you is Humvee with Sniper, Truck with Airborne Team and Tow Team with supplies, another Humvee with Stinger or whatever, right? Like, that is what you will roll out with. And knowing that in advance helps me so much. Weapon Squad barrel rolls out of the truck there. We don't get that BTR, it smokes and falls back, but if that BTR hadn't moved, it would have still got hit. The enemy's on the E point already before us, so here we go. We're rolling out now. You've got to be a little careful here because everything's clustered. Watch out for supplies, and the truck moves forward there. It is empty by that point, which is getting away from the supplies. I don't know why I pushed it forward, I didn't really need to. But it does tell us, recon by getting the fuck shot at, that there is an enemy squad inside that bunker I've marked. And I put a marker there, not for my team, but for myself to remember. I'm probably very annoying to play with in that sense, because those markers ping everyone on your team, and I think they're meant to be for team coordination. I just use them to remind myself of things. I wish I could get permanent markers that only I could see, and I could, like, name or something. Like, my screen would just be, like, 50 permanent markers of captions like, fuckers here, if I could just do it for myself. Just, like, self-planning, right? So we see the Batman unit, the Spetsnaz GRU. I think this was the night where I finally figured out these guys are, like, super heavy AT. I still hadn't really figured it out yet. They're like a SD Special Forces squad as well. So I don't think my Airborne's going to beat them. I don't remember all the details of this match, but I don't think my Airborne's going to beat them on their own. Because they're also in building cover, so they've got an advantage as well. Yeah, my guys are getting suppressed early, because that's within the closer range where suppressed weapon squads are going to tend to do better damage. That Humvee's going to get obliterated by a bazooka in a second, I'm sure. But it is providing a little bit of machine gun support, so maybe it's worth it. My Stinger team here is trying not to get too fucked up and pulling them back. Humvee goes down, but the Airborne's alive, and we do force the Spetsnaz GRU to fall back. They're now relying on their BTRs over there to provide some support. Hopefully I've got something here for this. I bring in that AMPV. Those Spetsnaz GRUs are fucking me up. You can see the enemy's just spamming these GRU teams here. They are very good squads. They're the biggest special forces, biggest recon squad in the game, sorry. They are a recon tab unit, but they have 8 guys. They have one of the heaviest light ATs in the game. That can threaten Abrams, as we've seen in previous matches. And I believe they just have good damage output as well. I don't know what their weakness is. I think they're not that good at CQB. I think they're the kind of Special Forces recon squad where they can beat a normal infantry unit, like an Airborne that isn't very good at close quarters, in close quarters. But if they went up against like any true CQB unit, like Marine Raiders or Delta Force, or maybe even a Rangers Recon, they die like shit, I think. I think that's their weakness, is they're really only good at bullying worse infantry, but they can't really be a true CQB squad. They can't be dominant like Delta, which we'll see later, not in this match. Here goes my artillery. I have been reminding myself, no doubt, like 30 seconds ago, a little man went, artillery time! And I was like, it is artillery time. I brought in my 3 Brutuses, which is the other change I made to my decks. One of the other changes I made to my decks, is I stopped using such expensive tube artillery. I went down to these Brutuses here, with the Airborne squad, rather than, you know, some expensive Paladin Iron Thunder shit. And those Brutuses are like, what, 110 each? Very cheap, and they do the job. So for the cost of like 330 points, 360 at most, I'd say, I've got 3 tube guns right from the start of the match, and they are going to be very effective. Artillery is so good, and tonight was the night I finally started really using it. You can see I'm not used to artillery, though. Like, I'm still a bit all over the place of where I place it. Like, I don't really know how to predict the enemy's movement too well. You know, I'm just doing my best. That unit goes backwards now, so that strike won't be doing anything. And maybe it would have been better to just focus my attention onto the enemies I can see who are sitting still, rather than trying to predict a moving unit. I think, in hindsight, you can see how it's important to, like, not let yourself get too distracted when using artillery. Don't be like a cat watching jingling keys. Don't be like, oh, whoa, whoa, target, 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 and get distracted, because then you won't get any effective strikes. Just pick a good target, rather than looking for the perfect one, would be my thoughts in hindsight. As it is, we're pushing on pretty decently here, and though I don't think my infantry ever really decisively won any of the fights, I have enough infantry cycling in here that I'm pushing the enemy back through a longer, drawn-out fight. Rather than, like, bursting through them, I'm just kind of, like, beating them with steady, sustained DPS. It's a sustained combat. Enemy jet came in and put a couple of bombs, must have been pretty small diameter, onto my two squads there. Must be small because neither of them died. They will need to resupply, and that's where we're bringing in the Blackhawk here. We're getting our main supply dump set up behind the lines. Blackhawk dropping in a supply point that I would say is what it needs to be for this fight. It is safe enough that it's not going to immediately get taken out. We don't want to be too risky with our first supply dump, or we're waiting a long time. But at the same time, it is close enough that infantry could feasibly run to it and back in about a couple of minutes. And that's important, because I'm not going to have time here to be like, I don't even have the vehicles, but even if I did, I don't have time here to be like, okay, get into the APC, drive back, get out, resupply, go back. Like, I'm doing shit. So instead, I'm just going to do what you're seeing on the screen, where just run back to it, run back. Hit your sprint if you've got it to shave time off the resupply process here, and just go get it done. It is very important to me in these situations, I've talked about it before, now we can talk about it, like literally seeing it on the screen, to just have a system that works. Maybe it's not the perfect or most ideal system for you, but it works. My system here is, it's very quick for me to just go resupply and come back. That's it. That's all you need to do. And it gives me time to think about other stuff. My Blackhawk's heading back to base now after having dropped off its supplies. I'm bringing in some AMPVs with more airborne infantry. That's because on the E point right now, I cannot yet... Ooh, artillery time. Yep, see? Reaching for it. Already, I'm reaching for that artillery. That's what you want to do. You see a target like that, I only saw it for like 5 seconds. I'm not distracted. I have the mental capacity to go, boom. I've got my artillery hotkeyed on key 6 is my standard key. I always use the same key, so I can just go, okay, enemy, 6, T for a target, destroy. And it's like a first-person shooter, right? It's like, you know, your assault rifle's always on number key 2, your pistol's always on number key 1. I keep the hotkeys the same for units, so I can just go, oh, enemy, hit 6, artillery, kill. Nice and quick, nice and easy. And so that's good for us as well. That's fucked up their ability to resupply those units and get it back into the fight. It's taking out a bunch of APCs, slows down the enemy's momentum to be able to dislodge me from this E point and provide real resistance. Now, as I was saying before that, ideally we'd be holding ahead of the point as we've discussed before, but I'm not doing that here yet. I'm not over pushing. I don't feel like I've got the dominance on this point to do that, or for whatever reason, I'm just not going to do it. So instead, the reason I'm bringing in those AMPVs of Airborne is because they are a reserve force. They are tough transports that can get anywhere without dying, really. Full of my best mainline squad, which is an Airborne squad. Again, not great in close quarters, but they're fine. They're fine. They're a mainline squad. Ooh, the Napalm. And so the plan there is, I'm kind of letting that Airborne die there. Didn't really get them done. The plan here is that if the enemy pushes in suddenly to dislodge me from the E point, as we've discussed, especially right as the phase is ending, I will be ready to do the same thing back to them. I will have a reaction force of those tough APCs full of infantry, and I will push back in, and I will charge them in return. So it's not as good as defending in front of the point. It's like a counter charge. I think I lost my artillery there because I was being too greedy with them. I think they got bombed or something, or artillery in return. Typically, playing against good players, you do not want to sit in the same place after you fired a salvo. You want to fire like a very short, like 3-shot burst of your artillery, get it out of there within like 10 seconds before it gets counter-batteried. And every time I got greedy in these matches, it was like, oh, I can stay here for one more fight. I was wrong. Or one more salvo. I was wrong, and I always got punished. Now, you're seeing the Napalm here. This match showed me how scary the Napalm is now. I don't remember it being anywhere near this good in the previous betas. It was so scary here. The enemy was really using these napalm shells, napalm rocket artillery, whatever it was. And it just blankets such a wide area. If the shells are on target, HE probably kills the infantry faster and just does better in general, and it can hurt vehicles a lot better. Vehicles don't really care about the napalm as much. But the big thing with the napalm is that it just blanket covers an entire area and there is nowhere to hide. You know, with enough of it, just the entire section of the world becomes lava and there's no escape. If you're on the edge of it, maybe you can sprint out of it. But just the way that it, like, catches infantry so completely like that, buries you so completely, is what makes it so scary as an infantry player, especially if you're clumped. And this was my first time really dealing with it properly. It had been used against me a couple of times in previous matches, but I never really noticed it that much. This was the match where it was used against me to probably the greatest effect of anything against me in this entire match. The napalm did keep taking casualties and forcing me off the point, but I was able to keep getting back onto it, as you can see. Enough of our units are fine there and survive, we push them back on. I'd say at this point, my biggest worry is that I'm quite clustered in that little copse of trees that's just in front of the point. And if the enemy recognizes that, they can just shell the shit out of that or bomb the shit out of that and really fuck me up. But they're not doing it yet. Shows the importance of stealth versus recon. Little UAZ rush. That if the enemy had a map hack, like, they're just going to keep artillery in that wood. As it is, they are not doing that, and I'm able to use this as a forward supply point. So, we've got my main supply point about 500 meters, 600 meters behind me up the road. Maybe it's like a click. I don't know, maybe it's a kilometer. But now I've also, having got that supply dump in place, I feel I can then take a truck and bring in a smaller amount of supplies right at the front line. It's a very aggressive supply dump, but it allows me to be that much more effective. Look at the difference of an infantry unit being able to go 20 seconds movement or 10 seconds movement behind the line, resupply, and be back on the enemy within like 1 minute, compared to having to run 2 minutes just to get to the supplies and back, right? Or, you know, 3 minutes up, all up. Big difference. Big difference. And it's going to allow me to do what you need to do in a brutal infantry fight like this, which is keep your units cycling. This is the match of keeping units cycling. I'm not really pushing ahead of this point yet. I'm not really doing anything else in this match. My main goal is being a custodian of these infantry and keeping them in the fight. Units get hurt, they cycle back to supplies, they stage, and they wait for the front line to need them again. As soon as the units that replace them, when they left the front, have been hurt and need to cycle out themselves, then you bring in that other line again, and you keep cycling between your lines of infantry. If you fully lose an infantry unit, it's not good, but you need to then bring in more infantry through helicopter reinforcements. Because you need to keep it going quick. Maybe you bring them in with some other way, but the point is keep bringing in reinforcements, keep a good amount of infantry, and then the challenge there is don't cluster it too hard, because if you do cluster it too hard, of course you're going to have the problem of everything you just get taken out at once. And it's about attrition, it's about being sustained and steady. You cannot let everything you have get blown up at once, because that's completely counter to what you're trying to do here. You're trying to have, okay, your infantry's going to get hurt, but you are going to cycle things in and out and, you know, keep them from fully dying, or at least fully dying all at once. If everything you have fully dies all at once, you've lost. You've lost that fight. Very important. Ooh, nice. That you don't let that happen here. The Javelin Fire and Forget there is very good. The fact that it can continue to hit the enemy targets even after we've lost line of sight with the bunkers in the way is very nice. Okay, so now we've got a mech rifle squad facing these two T-72s that have come in through the woods. Oh, and I don't think I even said this, but what I did there, you see how the rocket strike came in instantly? I was too busy yapping to point that out, but in hindsight, see what I did there? You can tell your artillery to hold fire, like you could tell every unit to hold fire. A very interesting thing I discovered is that, makes sense when you know about it, is that holding fire does not make you not aim. So any unit on hold fire will aim at their target still, and then as soon as you unhold fire, they'll shoot. So the really cool thing here with artillery is you can zero an area, you can pre-target an area of artillery. And with units that take a long time to aim, like rocket artillery, that's amazing, because I just have the rocket artillery aimed there already, predicting that the enemy will push through that area with my cluster, anti-tank cluster munitions. I hold fire, and then as soon as the tanks show up, as soon as the vehicles show up, I just I select my rocket artillery, I press H to unhold fire, and immediately rockets go off. And that's so much easier than predicting the enemy, and it'll also catch an enemy off guard who is, you know, gonna move every 10 seconds to not let you artillery them like that. So a little bit of prediction there goes a long way. Now, that enemy T-72 is fucked. but I'm getting napalmed here as well. The strikes do happen to hit my forward supply dump there, and it's a bit of a bit bloody for me. I lose the mech rifles in the airborne there as the dump goes off. And they might have lived if the supply dump explosion hadn't, like, pushed them over the edge there. One thing that's good to do, especially of risky supply positions, is with the truck there, if the truck's going to stay, keep the supplies in the truck whenever, like, pick them back up again whenever the supplies aren't in use, and then unload them whenever you need them. It's a little bit more micro, but it would have kept the supplies alive there. Like, the truck lived through the napalm, right? I didn't really care. So I could have just unloaded the supplies again after, and been, you know, not even given a shit. We do take out that T-72 that was deaf, dumb, and blind, that had every single malfunction wrong with it possible. Take it out by flanking it with the airborne. And you can see that even though we are taking losses and casualties from the napalm, we are steadfastly holding this point. It's no worries. You know, people die and new people take their place. That is the key to being a good infantry player in this game. Is people will die and others will take their place. As we talked about in one of the other matches, it's kind of that same thing of like, did my unit live a good life? But it's kind of different of infantry to this case of, like, many of your infantry will not live good lives. Many of your infantry will die without getting many kills, without really accomplishing anything other than providing presence, or maybe some damage and suppression on an enemy unit that they don't even finish off. That is fine. That is their job. Infantry's job, a frontline infantry unit's job in this game, is to die well. Marines are the best at dying well. But, you know, even squads that are better at killing, like Airborne at medium and long range, that I would say are a bit more of a DPS mainline squad, a mainline infantry unit squad is still to die, but to die very efficiently. As efficiently as you can. Artillery's back, artillery time, we're getting that AA piece. Because that's, you know, there are squads that do everything other than that better, right? Like, if you want to do just maximum DPS, bring, like, a weapons team, bring a grenade launcher team, bring a tow team at long range, if you want to scout, bring sniper teams, bring recon teams. If you want to do, you know, destroy enemy infantry, bring CQB teams, like, door kickers, or if you want to kill enemy infantry at longer ranges, bring a whole bunch of snipers and marksmen. But one thing that a mainline infantry squad that defines them to me, and that they do better than everyone else, is die efficiently. You want a squad that is going to take damage decently well, isn't too expensive when you lose them, and has enough staying power that it can last in the fight long enough to tank for your other units while they are dealing the damage or whatever else they need to be doing. And more importantly, for taking ground. You need to take ground to hold ground. You need to hold ground to get points. A mainline infantry squad is going to accomplish that for you, even if they don't kill anything. Just a squad that sits there and makes the enemy fight them for 30 seconds gives you time to call in artillery, air support, reinforcements, quick reaction forces already in the area. Gives you time to come up with a plan, call your teammates for help. Time is your friend on the defense, right? When you're an attacker, you're trying to force your way through the enemy and accomplish your objectives. When you're a defender, you are not just trying to stop the enemy, but you're also trying to delay them. The longer you delay the enemy, especially if you're inflicting losses while delaying them, that's like attrition, right? It's like an elastic... Is that an elastic defense? It's like a defense in depth, sorry. That's what it is. It's very important. And again, Marines is the best US squad for that. Marines is the best mainline squad for that because there's like 13 fucking guys. Here's the little... I love this AA unit because it's got 2 guys in it. Back to back, it's great. Or one behind the other. They are the best unit for just like dying well. They are these corn-fed motherfuckers from Idaho who live on crowns and, you know, piss blood. They are... they are great for dying well. And to take this strategy to its extreme, I remember something I heard from the enemy in one of the original betas. Calling in a bombing run here. Hang on. We will get back to the Marines thing, but I want to point out another thing I'm doing here of this deck that is different, thanks to Yeet's advice. Dumb bombs. This is more important, even if I forget the fucking Marine thing. Nice follow-up strike. Dumb bombs. I'm going to forget the Marine thing, fuck it. It was just some dumb joke, forget about it. What's important here is talking about the dumb bombs now in the deck, or we have a moment instead. So, previous betas, I've gone on and on about how all I used was precision-guided munitions. They were like the best thing to use, everyone used them, they were the meta. Changes have happened, yada yada, I've said it already. Precision-guided munitions are less OP now, they're less spammable. As a result... Save that airborne squad from the napalm! As a result... Dumb bombs are a lot more relevant and meta because also they got they got changed. My artillery's like driving across the runway because I gave it silly orders, so it's tying the tow teams. Oh my god. No, the range. I didn't realize they weren't in range of their targets. Very silly. Dumb bombs used to have a problem where if you afterburned in with them at low altitude, or any altitude I think, they would miss. It was just a bug. That's been fixed. And because precision guided munitions are much more finicky now and require, you know, it's harder to hit targets on the move and just harder to blanket a wider area with them in general because jets aren't as available and aren't as spammable. Dumb bombs are really, really good because also AA is just better now at killing high altitude bombers because the thing has also been removed where you could do pop-up attacks so easily where you were low altitude till you dropped the bomb, then you went low altitude again. And so now, dumb bombing is actually really relevant because you come in low, which is way more survivable than doing high altitude precision guided munition bombing. Because you have to be high altitude to do precision bombs. So you come in low and fast, it's pinpoint now that the strikes are actually accurate, which helps a lot, and you just blanket an entire area with bombs. And as you can see, it's very fucking effective, and you can do like last minute corrections more than you can with precision bombs now. And I had a lot of fun. You know, before I wasn't really a dumb bomber, but because of Yeet, I tried it, and I am a dumb bomber now. It is so good. It's so damn good. You'll see a bunch of nice, you see a couple more at least, nice fun dumb bomb runs this match, and you'll see a lot more in the matches to come. It's so good. Very, very good Air Force option now. You can see that the enemy is kind of forcing me off the E point. They're also trying to push my teammate over here on the left. Here comes another dumb bomb. Another thing I want to talk about here is the Lancer. Until tonight, I was like, I don't care for the bombers. They're too big investments, they cost too much. Why would you use them? And I was sad because between now, the last beta and now, I discovered how cool the Lancer is as an aircraft. It's like a supersonic, like, bomber doing, like, low-altitude bullshit so cool. Anyway, watch this. Oh, man. Like, it gets taken out, like, immediately by, like, stingers in the trees, I think, that are also there. And, you know, fair play to... Kudos to my enemy there for clustering all their squads on one spot to let that happen. Massive human wave push here. But, you know, I love to be able to do that because that bomber only costs 400 points. That B1 Lancer, which has like 84 low-altitude Snake Eye bombs, HE bombs, costs less than this Strike Eagle I'm bringing in now, which has a mix of clusters and other stuff. It is so cost-effective. A Lancer for 400 points is the price is right for me. It is so good. With afterburners? Fuck yeah. Here comes a Strike Eagle. Follow-up run. Take out all those Iglas in the trees. Almost take out all of that stack of Iglas in the forest there. And this is more what I was talking about in previous matches, where it's like, okay, I'm not really fighting on my point right now. I'm going to go help my teammate out with some air support instead, right? Rather than being like, oh, I'm going to, like, push forward of my E point, which I can't even do right now, but, like, rather than being like, I'm going to send some units over there, just, like, lend some air support, completely change the fight. Pop in and help. It's like ganking in a MOBA, right? It's like ganking in League. Like, you're not going to top lane from mid to go and fight there forever. You're going there to just poke in and help out and get a kill for a second. Same here, right? Just send some air support. Just do something quick that takes you a minute or two. Help out, and then go back to your game. So on the E point, I got forced off by all the napalm and shit again. So I'm pushing back in now with my AMPVs. With mech riflemen in them. My teammates helping me out a bit. They're doing a bit of a gank here. Not really, they're just pushing in what they had. They're pushing in this Ranger's Raws to help me. My mech rifles are pushing up with them. I'm pushing more mech rifles up to the central bunker in the E point. AMPV destroyed, but we've got the mech rifle there, and we've got the artillery. I don't have a lot of heavy here. No, there's no like Abrams yet. So the close quarters T-72 there in the woods is a little bit concerning. I'm not sure if I'll be able to take things out here. I think that weapon squad might be engaging a T-72. Let's watch this missile. Yes! Sees him through the trees. Misses, apparently. Damn. But somebody gets him. I think there's a helicopter. Looked like a helicopter launched Hellfire from behind. Takes that T-72 out. So even without our own Abrams here, we have the units we need to stop that tank. And again, you know, we're getting bloodied and mauled here, but we have the units to push back on, even after the units we first have there, or first sent in, are destroyed. We've still got reinforcements coming in behind. Keep the waves coming. Not ideal here that I'm losing my units. So, like, I'm in a pretty rough spot here. Like, that Airborne's pushing across the road and just not really accomplishing something, so I'm going to send them back and resupply them. Get them out of there. I got another AMPV trying to push in here, and I think I lost my artillery again, so I've only got one Brutus. Pretty rough spot to be in, with only 5 minutes left in the phase. I'd like to see how I get this point back. I, like you, actually don't remember. I like you, don't know. Looks like some nice support from my teammates. See that That longbow there, that helicopter is spewing hellfires over the forest, taking out the vehicles. That helps so fucking much. That's so helpful. And I think it's just kind of like a magic trick. Like, I don't know how, but the enemy forces are just disappearing through my efforts and through the efforts of my teammates supporting me. And now I've got an AMPV pushing in with 2 squads of mech rifles. We're doing fire and movement. 1 squad's getting inside the building, fixing the enemy GRU in place. Enemy invisible me GRU. And then the other squad's moving up on them, pushing in. This was once again, I think, a mistake, because I don't know, I just still hadn't really figured out that that unit is very good in close quarters. So I just really send those mech rifles to die, because close quarters is where those squads want to eat you up. Would have been better to stay at long range there in buildings. APV gets taken out as well, and the enemy's rocket artillery also took out the other mech rifles, so we no longer had the numbers advantage to kind of take them out. Maybe the close quarters would have worked if I'd kept them fixed with the other squad, don't know. But you know, that GRU holds strong. Definitely when I get the game again, I'll be very respectful of that Batman squad. They are a very good unit. They're just good at everything. Almost everything. Very potent. Probably like a jack of all trades. That's kind of good at everything, but isn't exceptional at all of them. But definitely enough to beat some mech rifles, for sure. Because mech rifles is one of the weaker US infantry units. Though for their costs, you know, cost effectively, they're fine. They're a good unit for that. I bring in some more of my own artillery, because what's the easiest way to kill a good unit like that? Just fucking artillery it. I could send in some more mech rifles to kill it. Fuck it, why? Just blow them up. Why ever have a fair fight? Why ever fight an enemy in a way that's fair for them? Always fight the enemy in a way where they can't fight back. Artillery is good for so many reasons. One of them is that you can, you know, it can quick react anywhere. Like, artillery is the ultimate quick reaction. You see a problem, and as long as it's within range of your guns, you shoot it. But the other thing is the enemy doesn't get to shoot back at it. They get to counter battery you maybe, but it's not the same. And with that, we take out the GRU. The snipers get to move onto the point and cap it again. I have some airborne coming in. I'm pretty weak on the point, but gotta remember, don't make your enemy out to be a god. Don't think your enemy is like some perfect organism that you can never defeat. Because sure, I haven't got a lot left on the point, but neither does the enemy. If they did, it'd be here holding it. And because of the fog of war, it's very easy to sit here and be like, oh, like, I've got nothing left, I'm not doing well. Like, yeah, but neither does the enemy. If they did, it would be here. So even though you can't see everything the enemy has, you can tell from this layout, you can tell from them not contesting the E-point right now, they clearly don't have a lot. We've clearly killed most of it. And it does go back to that thing I was going to say about the Marines before, is I had a very illuminating match in the very old betas, like February of last year or the year before, on Baltisk, I remember, where I was playing Marines all the time. And I don't think it was about me, but it was about the way I played, whether or not it was in a match against me, so I liked it, where I would do this thing where I would just, you know, just send more fucking Marines in Amtracs, just keep taking buildings, just keep pushing them up and keep cycling them. And I remember reading on the Discord of, like, the beta players, of someone complaining on the Russian, like, player side of being like, fucking, like, every time I kill a Marine, there's another Marine in this fucking town, like, no matter how many fucking Marines I kill, there's just more Marines. And that is something I laughed at and enjoy, but also took to heart. That is the way to make your enemy feel when you play infantry. That is the way to play infantry. Always make there be another Marine. Never stop cycling Marines. Never stop your reinforcements. Never stop resupplying. Never stop babysitting your units, bringing them back in and out. There should always be another Marine. Never be done. Never give up. Always another Marine. Never give up the point. Now take a look at what else we're seeing here. Look at that supply dump on the right. Twin supply dumps. 2 different players on their team have put their own supply dumps next to each other. There's like 2 AA pieces, a rocket arty piece, a bunch of ship resupplying there. If you see something and it's in range of the artillery, you can kill it. I'll say nothing for a second. Just watch. Watch the kill score. And the skulls start going off in the secondaries. That was a bomb for my soul. After how badly I did the night before, at least in my own mind, this was a very fun match for me to play. I was using artillery probably for the first time in ages, effectively, and it felt so good to be on top of it. You know, reasonably on top of it. I was fighting a good infantry battle. Infantry is my favorite, so I was fighting a good infantry battle on E. I was holding the point every phase, even against, like, stubborn enemy opposition. You know, I wasn't playing perfectly, but I felt like I'm playing good. Like, I'm playing a good game that I can be proud of. I'm playing in the way that I feel happy with. And I was having a great time. So phase 2 ends. We once again are holding the E point, which makes me feel good. We've just got some awesome destruction on the enemy, which makes me feel good. Taking out a lot of their assets, and we're going into phase 3 feeling strong. Feeling good, feeling strong. You can see my Abrams are the upgraded Abrams now. They've got the trophy system on them. Like I said, this is that baby's first deck I made, where every unit is designed to be a lot tougher, a lot more child-proof. More expensive, but, you know, you don't have to worry about controlling so many units that way, and each of the units you do control are stronger. Hasn't really been the case for the infantry game, because, you know, Airborne is Airborne. But, in terms of when I'm using the tank there, like the Abrams, that Abrams is way more upgraded. And at this point, I think I'm just, like, firing artillery into their woods. Just trying to deal with them where I can, or wherever I see, like, the hint of a target, just shoot at this point. I'm trying to bring up a line of infantry. I'm not pushing ahead of the point still, because the head of the point is a wooded area. And, again, I don't like my deck here for fighting in woods. Which, you know, again, you might say it's funny why I went to the E point, but I think I'm doing a fine job. You can see how my infantry just doesn't do a great job in the close quarters of the E point. But it's doing a fine job. It's doing okay. And because we're supporting them so well with artillery, and our teammates are supporting us with helicopters and artillery, and we're bringing in vehicles where we need it, like the Bradleys and Abrams, we're doing okay, you know, we're doing fine. The infantry may not be the stars of the killing in this match, but they are holding the ground in the way they need to. And that's what we just need more. Always have another Marine. We need to spread these infantry out so that one napalm strike or one bomb doesn't kill them all. So we're trying to keep a, 100, 200 meter dispersion between all our units. We're trying not to put too many units into the E point itself at once. I'm pushing my units a little bit beyond to the other side of the E point now. One thing that's got blotted out at this point that I haven't replaced is recon. But it's not as critical here for me to have recon defending the point itself. Where I would want my recon is in positions that won't be in the line of fire. I want to see what the enemy's cooking up for me. So I can't mouse over it really because this is a video. But north of the E point there, or our north of the E point there, down that road where there's like a wood, that is a nice place to have put a sniper team. The place I tried to put at the start of the match, but it didn't last. I really want to have my recon pushing beyond the line now. So maybe my combat units hold the point, but it would be good to have my recon now probing forward. I want to see the enemy and call artillery on them accurately. We're going to do some counter battery here. And failing that, I want to push up to positions where if the enemy tries to attack me, I see their attack coming, I can start harassing it with artillery and air support on its way in. I can move my forces to be prepared for it. So maybe I don't have like recon literally in position for the fight itself here, but I would like to be pushing up for, probing purposes. Now, hold that thought because you can see here comes the smoke push. And this is more dangerous to me than a Marines player because, again, Airborne better at medium range than they are at close range. I'm just predicting that they're going to try to push up the road as they have before here because of the smoke and I see the truck coming. So I just call in a Strike Eagle. In hindsight, not sure if this is the best use of a Strike Eagle, especially if it dies. Might be better to just have had it on call and then once combat starts, then do it. But I think I'm kind of thinking like they're going to do a bunch of vehicles up the road there. I do get one thing, whatever it is. And the Eagle gets away with it, so it's kind of okay. But I think I was trying to make sure they weren't pushing like a whole bunch of transports up the road at me at once, like I've had happen to me before. I'd say you can see that they were doing that, but not on the road. They're probably just beyond the smoke. Their transports have pulled up and their infantry's pushing in. However, I am ready for it. I have a lot of infantry in different positions, and not only is that to help spread out against artillery and bombs, but you can see here it's very helpful because I have a lot of different fire positions to focus their fire, to fix it onto a single unit at a time as they come out of the smoke. So the enemy comes out of the smoke there and it gets gunned down by just mech rifles with like mech rifles with M16s or M4s, sorry, and saws as the Airborne are supporting inside the building cover. And then I have an Abrams to the rear there. Even the Stinger teams were shooting as well, their rifles, I think. And the Abrams certainly was providing fire support from its rear position. It's fun when you get into this game and you get good of it, how much you can see, like, it feels like modern military tactics. Like, it's still a game, but, like, it kind of feels authentic. Maybe not realistic, but authentic to how you'd want to do things. I love that. I think that's so interesting. I think modern military shit is very, very interesting. I'm not like a fucking soldier or nothing. But it's kind of like my hobby, right? Like, I think learning about how modern militaries work is so interesting. I mean, all militaries, but modern ones as well. It's so interesting to see people who are so well trained and have pushed like a concept so complicated and complex and hard as how, like, for instance, like the modern American military works, right? It's very fucking interesting to me. When you see like the like decades, the centuries, the generations of military tactics built and iterated on themselves to what you have today. I don't know, it's just very interesting. Anyway, we lost our Gimlers there. Military tactic from Beagle. Leave your Gimlers in place and get it shot. Your MLRS in place and get shot by enemy artillery or bombs. Always move your artillery after it's fired. Never leave it in place. Do a short salvo that takes under 10 seconds. Move. Always shoot and move. The only time you won't get punished for not scooting after you shoot with artillery is if the enemy player is either not very good, or is too busy to think about you, or is like too pressured, losing too hard to even have the assets to punish you. Always shoot and scoot. Always shoot and scoot. Napalm fucks me up again. I've got my units a little bit too close there, and I think like 3 squads get caught. Not ideal. I haven't moved up a supply into that forest again to get close resupply. Strike Eagle run, takes out 1 tank. The other one gets away, and I do lose the Strigel to a 1-shot from the S300 in the back. Not ideal. But at least we accomplish our job of getting rid of one of the tanks. It's not always about cost effectiveness. That plane costs more than the tank it killed. I think the tank could be like 200 at most, 250 maybe with Arena. My Strike Eagle there is like 400, 450. I usually don't like running jets that expensive for that reason, but I do now. I didn't, but I do now because that Strike Eagle is a kill anything move. That is, like the Lancer with the HE bombs couldn't really kill a tank, but that Strike Eagle has cluster bombs for anti-tank and HE bombs for anti-infantry, so it can kill anything. And sometimes it's not about getting a good points trade, sometimes it's about, I just can't deal with that tank right now, and I need it dealt with before it deals too much damage to my line. Sometimes you just need to pay a premium to get something killed now. Because of how long it takes things to get to places, just removing an enemy unit can be much more important than the points on paper there. It's not all on paper. This game isn't just about the paper cost of things. It's about the context of the match, of course. Nice rocket strike from the enemy there. Takes, luckily doesn't take out these tanks, but does hurt them really bad on their way in. I think they were probably targeting me there because I'd already had supplies there in advance. If that wasn't a blind fire, I'd say it was very good timing on their part to hit those tanks on the move. But I'm guessing that was probably just them hitting a point they know I like to use as supplies instead, just doing a blind fire. Because it's quite hard to predict. That would be like 20 seconds of prediction for a rocket arty. Maybe they held fire in the road, but I don't actually think they have recon here at this point. I think that was just a blind fire to hit a dump they've hit before. They've probably seen my Blackhawks coming, like dropping supplies there before, and were like, that's a spot. Because they blew it up before when I wasn't paying attention. As it is, though, I already happen to have Blackhawks coming in to resupply, so I can just quickly get these Abrams done back up again. I love Blackhawks. They're an incredible, incredible logistics unit and transport. I think they're probably my favorite, one of my favorite units in the whole game, and they're just so cost-effective. 12 guys, 1.25 stealth, 12 guys transport capacity, that is. 1.25 stealth, nice heavy lift capacity so you can lift a light vehicle. And just a good price. Like, they're just a really, really, really cost-effective unit. They're like such a good transport logi option. I love them. Now, as it is, there's only 6 minutes 30 left in the match. We're doing a shoot and scoot there, just trying to put some fire into the woods, if that unit was going to keep coming. Run, mech infantry, can you escape? Oh, the fire rises, brother. They expect one of us in the crash. No, you don't get away. You see what I mean? Like, there's no way, like, a comparatively small HE artillery strike takes that unit out, especially in a building, but the fire ignores cover, and because it spread so far, you know, we couldn't even get that mech rifle out of there in time. That's the power of napalm. It's very powerful. Just like World in Conflict, gotta watch out for the napalm when you're an infantry main. Of course you do. We've still got a mech infantry on the side there, but now it's my Abrams' turn to hold the point in this tree line, taking over for the infantry. They're trying to push it on this point here, and, you know, I keep looking at this match and being like, how do I hold this point? I'm pretty sure I do. How do I do it? Because they're pushing in pretty strong again. They're bringing in nice, like, special forces quality Russian infantry, but there you go. It gets taken out by, I think those are strikers with the FFARs on them. You can get, like, a weapons upgrade where they have, like, a little rocket pod on them. I think only rocket pods could have killed that squad that quickly. I feel like. Didn't really see. Maybe it was just a pair of autocannons, I don't know. Got my Abrams here. The Abrams doesn't really want to be ahead by itself without being screened by recon or infantry. But in this case, they're what we have, and they're what can help hold the point until my infantry are ready to take the point over again for them. I was about to say, don't drive into the enemy woods. That's getting a bit much, Beagle. But just hold yours. That's fine. Just hold yours. That's fine. Enemy strikers get taken out by bombing runs. I should be moving my Abrams here too, because I'm going to get bombed if I stay here too much longer. You got to have that bomb sense in this game. If you played Infantry and World in Conflict, or really any World in Conflict multiplayer, you'll have that sense of, like, you're about to be hit by a strategic aid or a tactical aid, like an airstrike, like an artillery strike, like a bomb, when you've been somewhere too long. You've got to know when you've worn out your welcome in a position and, like, move again. Napalm again! Hitting that airborne just as they were ready to get back in there. I guess the pro with Napalm, though, is if you're caught on the edge of the Napalm, especially if you've got to cover, you'll take less damage than you did against a bomb. And you can see we sprint out of there pretty quick. We barely take any damage. That's nice. The Abrams is taking a bit of damage to the Napalm slowly. But it won't die. We can get it out of there, which is good. For all the pros of Napalm, it doesn't kill as quickly as other munitions in some cases. So that is obviously the weakness of it. Has to have its pros and cons. Enemy does a little helo rush here. We're going to pop smoke. No, we're not. Oh, we're getting fucked up. We should be popping smoke. And we should be waiting here while the Stinger takes care of business. They get 2 of their missiles out before, unfortunately, the FFARs destroy them. There's just too many helicopters there, and we can't kill them quick enough. But they do help provide some panic and damage to the enemy Hinds, which, along with the rest of our teammates here, will let us blunt this helo push pretty reasonably. And then I have more Stingers in my woods to the rear that can then take things out. Having, like, a decent, like, pair of lines here has been really important for me all match long. If every unit I ever had was always up front on the E-point fighting, everything would get killed by the same napalm, everything would get killed by the same bombs, everything would get killed by the same shit. One of the keys of this match, one of the good things to do in this game, is have separate lines. Do not have every unit you own fighting at the same time on the front line. Because, 1, it makes you vulnerable to clustering, 2, you don't need to. Like, even if it didn't make you vulnerable to being airstriked or bombed or artilleried, it also just makes you vulnerable because now you have no reserves. And it can be more important in this game to go into a fight, because whenever you fight, you're going to take damage. It can be more important to go into a fight and take some damage on 4 units, and take damage on all the enemy's units, like all 6 or 7 of the enemy's units at once. Oh god, that's bad. And then be able to go, okay, now I'll bring in 4 fully fresh units, and all your units are, like, hurt, they've spent their smokes, they've spent their ammo, and I can kind of, like, defeat them in detail. I can go after one after another after another. And there's a balance to that, obviously, because if you do that badly, you're doing the thing you don't want to do, which is just trickling your units in. You're just sending, like, 1 unit at a time. Obviously, you generally don't want to do that. There you can see my artillery got taken out again. On the left there are the icons. Must have left it in place too long. Enemy was quick on counter battery in this match. But, you know, there's a line. You know, on the bad side of the line, it's sending in 1 at a time. Okay, maybe you don't do that a lot of the time. But sometimes you do with recon. Probably in the woods and stuff. If you do it on the other bad extreme, it's like you send in everything at once, and now you have no stamina. You have no reserves. You have no guts. You can't respond to the evolving tactical situation with, you know, a new set of units that are fresh. So you got to find the balance for each fight. But I think it's important to note that there is a real value to having multiple lines in this game, in my opinion. I'm not the god of this game. But I would tell people it's worth it and something to consider. Because I think of a lot of games, you don't generally have to worry about more real-world strategic concepts like reserves. Like, it's kind of a heady concept. And, this game is authentic. You get to care about shit like that. This is what I mean by the playtesters don't like the striker spec, or I think they feel like it's like the OP or borderline OP US spec, because you can see Oceans there having that little comment of like, oh yeah, the YouTubers figured out to spam striker spec. I enjoyed seeing that. Let's be real, I enjoyed it. A little bit toxic of me. I enjoy it because, especially coming in from being bodied so fucking hard the previous night, I like to see a little comment like that, and let's be honest, to see a little comment that be like, someone's a little peeved. So someone's a little perturbed. Maybe they're not mad, but that's the kind of comment that personally I would write when I'm a little perturbed, perhaps. Absolutely no hate or anything to Oceans or any of the playtesters, but maybe that's not how they meant it. But I liked it. I felt good after this match. Let's say that. I felt like we talked about predator-prey mindset in the last match, right? I felt more on top of the game in this match, and it was a good start to my matches for this night. to feel like they can be felled, they can be beaten. I can defeat people, and I can play a good game. I can hold a point all game long, and I can do it, and I can play the way I wanted to play. So I felt very good. What else was I going to say? I forgot. I got lost in the source of what I was talking about. Oh yeah, I was going to say, I think I forgot to give some more context too. Before we got into this match, we probably had like 3 or 4 matches that I can't really do videos of because they all had bugs, unfortunately. Like, someone kept desyncing or crashing out of the match within like the first 10 minutes. We had one Frontiers match that went for like 20 or 30 minutes, but then I got desync and couldn't play anymore. Which is a shame because that one was gone pretty fun. So this technically isn't the first one of the night, but it's the first actual full match we got to play. We had a bunch of false starts. But yeah, had a lot of fun with this match. This is the kind of broken era I love to play. You are on your game, you're cycling your units well, or you're getting your supplies in. There's mistakes, there's things going wrong, you're taking losses. Sure, it's not just one-sided, but it's almost better that way. It's satisfying. It's a good, you get a good bit of grunting, you're doing work, you're putting in effort. You're doing your job, and you're playing against some level of a challenge. You're playing against someone who's giving you a good fight, and you're having a good fight back. You're having a good orky fight. I like that. I like that a lot. And I liked it so much that after this match, I think on the next one, I felt confident to play SOF again. I prepared a new take on SOF, Airborne SOF, and I think I was also then preparing an SOF Airborne deck again. I'm not sure if I played it tonight. But I was ready, and so in the next match, I'm pretty sure the next match is SOF with armor, I want to say, but I mainly just played SOF either way. On not airport, airstrip. There's airport and then there's like air base. I think it was air base. And I'm looking forward to that a lot. But yeah, that was this match. Sorry, now I'm just thinking about the SOF because next match I'm pretty sure is that match, and we get to see what I've been waiting for, which is Rangers Recon eating shit up and Delta Force going crazy. So I'm looking forward to it. But for this match, yeah, I was happy to get back into things. The artillery time button helped me an absolute ton, and I'm probably going to make a button that's like recon check when I get to this game on release, because it was that simple. Just having a constant little annoying goblin reminding me every so often to be, are you forgetting? It's basically like having a little mini coach on my shoulder going like, are you forgetting to do something important? Are you forgetting your artillery? Really, really, really helpful for me. And when you're using artillery well in this game, you can see the difference. Like, it's so important to be able to just go, see that thing, I don't want to see it anymore. So I was really happy with that. I was happy with my infantry play in general. There was many times I got things killed that didn't need to die. I still clustered probably a bit too much, especially once the Napalm started. I definitely have to be used to that Napalm in the future and watch out for it, because it covers a really wide area. And, I think a bunch of tanks might have got, lost a little bit too easily, but overall, I think I played a pretty decent game. And I'm happy to say that. I think I played a pretty decent game on that point. Never gonna... it's not healthy to compare yourself to, like, perfect play, but as long as I didn't feel like I made any huge glaring mistakes, or not too many, and as long as I did better than my opponent and achieved my objective of holding, the middle point, then I'm going to come out of that and go, hey, I did alright. And I think I did alright there. So, let me know what you think, of course. Just like you guys are happy to be like, don't be too hard on yourself in the rounds I'm more critical of myself in, make sure if I'm ever too happy with myself to leave a comment and be like, you know what, Beagle? Fuck you. You could have done this better. Because constructive criticism is always good. I mean, I said fuck you, so it's not really constructive. But hey, if you say fuck you, and then you go, just kidding, here's what you could have done better. I mean, it balances out, right? Anyway, not too much waffling I need to do from this point on. The changes to the deck were great, thank you so much, Yeet. And my ability to just mentally be present, be aware of things, and play felt much better. So, huge love to my wife, my beautiful Jamble, for getting me ready, for making sure I ate and drank, that my power was growing. My wife says that, it's like this meme we saw where it's like, I'm having this coffee and my power is growing. And sometimes I forget to feed myself, my power is very low. And it's this thing my wife says where it's like, yeah, you're fine, you're not dying, you're not that bad, it's just you haven't eaten food that I have you. And I'm like, shit, no, I haven't. And I eat, and it's like, it's just such a simple thing. It's like, you just eat, and it's like, oh, my power has grown, I can do anything. And that was how I came into these matches. I had eaten lots of food. I had prepared like I'm going to the Olympics and I was ready. So that was fun. I really look forward to seeing you all in the next upload, which it'd be funny if I'm wrong, but in my memory, I'm almost certain it's SOF on Airbase. Looking forward to it. And then, because after that one, I just played SOF for most of the rest of the night, I think, until I did Strikers again. So, looking forward to finally getting Special Forces or Special Operations Forces pilled. I will catch you all for the next one. Do hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks to FLX and all the dev team for an incredible game, because I love Broken Arrow. Hooah! And thanks to everyone who's been playing it with me for these matches. I can't wait to see you in the next one. You can hear how happy I am. See you soon. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.